All right. Got to let it breathe while we get the Facebook groups in here.
You know what's breathing is that beard of yours, man. Looking good.
I'm trying. Looks like we're good.
Okay. All right. Well, everyone, welcome into Building the Broncos. I am Carl Dumler as usual, but Nick has a little bit of a trip going on. So that just means that we get the special enjoyment of having Mr. Erick Trickel join us all the way from the very Northwest. Eric, how are things, man?
Things are going good. It's been a nice turn to the summer up here. So we're excited to start getting out and going and doing some stuff, and also working on getting back to, took a couple weeks away a little bit, but now it's back to the grind and of getting articles done, getting content done. So I'm back on that, but it's been an enjoyable break playing video games and stuff like that, ready for the summer and ready to join you and talk about some Broncos tonight, Carl.
Yeah. I'm excited for it too, man. I'm very excited that I get to even be here. We had tornadoes like crazy this week. We had a town next to us that got hit, leveled to the ground, and thankfully it missed us. So I know I've had a few of you reach out to me. Just wanted to say thank you all for thinking of me, knowing where at least the general area where I live and that it was close to us. But we're all good here, and just everyone, make sure you're staying safe with all the crazy weather, as this is that tornado season. If any of you live in the Midwest where all this fun happens, so. But I did want to say thank you to everyone who reached out. But talking about reaching out, we got Mr. Papa Bear coming in. David saying, good evening, Broncos country. Nick, Carl, and Deacon Scott. Hashtag 13 and 4. Hashtag let's go Bo. Hashtag MHH for life. Hashtag Buckham times 3. Hashtag Denver Broncos for life. David coming in with the 13 and 4. Last year was just a couple off when he started out the year. I think he started with 12 and 5, if I remember right, last year. So at least another win this season. If you're only off by 2, hopefully you're off by 2 the other way. And it's that 15 and 2 kind of record, and everybody's going, what in the world did this team come from? And so, yeah, thank you, David. Really appreciate you coming in always before the show like this and getting us start off on the right foot. And Mike will come in as well with some stars saying, good evening, Carl and Eric. I'm building the Broncos. Go, Bo Broncos. Yeah, we're going to be talking a little bit about Bo today. He kind of did something pretty cool that I think does stick out about his leadership and just that he has taken ownership of this team as that player. So excited to talk about that with you, Eric. But no, thank you, Michael. Thank you, David, for both of you coming in early here for us and getting us off on, it's the down season, but it's never down season talking about the Broncos. And Eric, like I said, you said, excited to talk about some Bronco football here. And we might have a few other subjects just because it is that off season. Yeah. We can maybe talk about a few things. So thank you guys for joining us. And I'm trying to see what else we have coming in here. I wanted to say sorry to William. Saw that your snapping turtle passed away. I know family pets. I've got a dog of mine that has been with us for 13 years now, and found out he's got cancer. Doesn't have much longer to go, and breaking watching, especially those last little bit of time. So, William, we definitely reach out to you, and especially since you've had him since he was the size of a quarter 11 years ago. I know what that can mean. So just know we're thinking about you.
Yep. Our hearts are with you. It's definitely tough. Pets are family too. I will die on that hill if I have to. Yep. Having lost a pet recently myself, definitely feel for you, William.
Yeah, I've had a couple in the past few years. Lost our cat and lost one of our dogs. And but getting on a good note here, we got Phil coming in saying, good evening, Carl and Eric. Passing camp for Bo. Great to hear. Hashtag Buckham. Hashtag MHH for life. Hashtag Broncos for life. Yeah, this is going to be our main subject for tonight. Pat Bryant was on talking at kind of their rookie symposium thing that they've been having go on. And somebody was asking about Bo Nix from him. And they said, hey, are you guys going to get together before camp kicks off? I said, oh, yeah. Bo Nick's already called me. He's already got it all scheduled. We're meeting. We're gonna have a little trip together. Might go golfing. He's like, I gotta actually learn how to golf, but they're gonna do a lot of just different passing things, and that doesn't surprise me. I think that the part that really stuck out to me, since we'll go ahead and get into this here, I think it's just how organized Bo Nix is. Sometimes right after the draft, they'll ask some players like, hey, you guys going to get together? And they're like, we haven't really talked about it yet. Maybe we'll get together. I think we're planning on it, but nobody knows exactly when. It sounds like Bo's already got this planned out, ready to go. Hey, everybody, we're getting on the same page. Get on board with me or you're going to get left behind.
Yeah.
And that's the part for me that I really, really like about Bo. It's football all the time, everywhere he goes. Even I saw pictures of him going on vacation. And instead of watching in-flight movies, he was watching film when he was on the plane. Those kind of things. That's what sticks out to me when I'm looking at a guy like him, of just how much he loves this game, wants to be great. That's what it takes. Is that what you kind of get from this as well?
Yeah, I mean, would have been more shocked had he not had something, not necessarily fully completed, but had he not even been planning something at this point. Bo Nix, it's one thing that's never been questioned about him is his drive. He loves football. He loves the game. He loves to be part of it. He loves to keep working at it. So not shocked at all that he already has a camp set up of a passing camp set up with the receivers and everything. And it's just, again, it just shows that leadership that he's kind of really taking control. And I think it was Zach Allen when he appeared with Chris Long about a week or so ago, how Zach Allen had a story about how Bo Nix came in right away and was snapping at veterans for making mistakes, that he's taken that leadership and he did it right away. And so it's a great thing to see, because you want your quarterback to step up and take that role, and you want them to do it quickly. And sometimes it being difficult when you're a young new player into it, but Bo Nix is 24, 25 years old now. He was 24 years old entering the NFL. So it's not like he was a 21-year-old, 22-year-old coming in and trying to take away. He had a little bit of that extra maturity and stuff. But yeah, it's good to see. It's good to have him. I'm curious to see what all receivers and tight ends show up for it, because that's typically can be a pretty big story as well. Who doesn't show up to the quarterback passing camp that they set up?
Yeah. And we got David coming in with a $4.99. Really appreciate that, David. I'll be excited to see you tomorrow for your show. Saying, do you think Zadai Barron rookie contract will get done before the end of OTAs? And do you think George Paton gets extended before week 1? So let's start with Barron's contract. I do expect for it to get done very soon. These things don't usually drag clear into June. Most of it's figured out. I really don't worry about rookie contracts like things used to be. When I'm trying to remember the last year, I think was it Sam Bradford was like the last number 1 overall pick to actually really get to negotiate his contract?
I think so.
And it went like late into July, and people are kind of like, is he going to show up for camp? What's going to happen here? And I'm really excited that they have this rookie contract set up the way they do, just so we don't have these things. And to me, especially when you're a rookie, you're already way behind before you ever step foot. You've got to learn a whole new system. It's a lot more complicated than anything you even began to think about in college. Now you got to get used to the NFL speed, how they're going to run their camps compared to what you did in college. All those things that you've just got to now go learn brand new. And when contracts got in the way of that, it just became more of a distraction for everybody. So now that they've eliminated that, I'm really not worried about Barron's contract. Now, George Paton, I think there's a really big sign. One of his people he brought on board with him got a promotion here recently. And I think that's a sign. Hey, Peyton's here for the long term.
Yeah.
He passed his test with Sean Payton over the last couple of years of, hey, are we going to work together? Are we not? And so I expect George Paton probably to get extended as well. And we've seen Sean Payton with Mickey Loomis as his GM. They're down with the Saints. They had a great relationship. They were together for a very long time. I think that's what Sean Payton likes. He likes that continuity within the coaching staff, within the front office. So he doesn't have to relearn how to talk to somebody. He likes this. So I do. I think George Paton's here for the long term. And I mean, have you heard anything else, Eric?
No.
I mean, you sometimes hear a lot more than I ever do.
No, I think that George Paton will get extended. At what point? I'm not sure. Maybe it's before week 1. Maybe it's sometime during the season. Maybe it's in the next couple weeks. It just seems to be something that's a work in progress. And there seems to be some priority placed on getting the player extensions done that they want to get done. And then Jade Barron, as you said, it'll happen probably before the camp starts. I believe next Friday, I think is when it starts. I can't remember exactly the dates. It's like May 29th or something. It'll get done, I'm pretty sure, either before then and probably signed on, when he shows up for that. I mean, when you look at the first round rookies that have already signed their contracts, you have Emeka Egbuka, who went 19th overall. He signed his. And then you have Derek Harmon, who went 22nd overall, or Omarion Hampton, who went 22nd overall, having signed his. So 20 and 21, they're both unsigned, but you have them bookended. So you know what there's going to be, because all you can really, negotiate is structure at this point. And when a team has a baseline of the pick before you, well, that's kind of the baseline they're going to go off of. It makes the negotiations a little bit easier. So Jade Barron, I expect to get done soon. And George Paton, some point between now and the end of the year, I would expect him to get signed as well.
Yeah. And talking about something that you should get done soon, make this your best season yet with nutritious 2-minute meals from Factor. Eating well has never been this easy. Just heat up and enjoy, giving you more time to do what you want. Get outside instead of prepping and cooking indoors. Factor meals arrive fresh and ready to eat, perfect for any active lifestyle. With 45 weekly menu options, you can pick gourmet meals that fit your goals. Choose from Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto, and more.
Guys, Factor absolutely powers your day with satisfying breakfasts, on-the-go lunches, premier dinners, and guilt-free snacks and desserts. It's easy to savor more this spring. Factor meals pick the flavor with none of the fuss. Get started at factormeals.com/milehigh50% off and use code milehigh50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code milehigh50off at factormeals.com/milehigh50off for 50% off plus free shipping.
All right, continuing this conversation here a little bit. I've seen a few more comments come in about the Bo Nix situation, but we've got Ralph coming in with some stars saying, Carl and Eric, thank you for keeping the offseason interesting. At least those pesky Nuggets and Avs aren't interfering now. I saw a video the other day, and I sent it to a few people, and it was somebody standing in front of the Rockies stadium, and it said something like the Avs and Nuggets being out of the playoffs. Now all we have to look forward to is the Rockies. And it's just somebody just in tears, just crying. And yeah, it's very sad, unfortunately, that you've got all these great teams that are competing for Super Bowls, championships, whatever you want to call them. And then you got the Rockies. Maybe the worst team ever in baseball history. That's what they're competing for right now. And this is where I wish ownership could be held accountable. If there was some kind of rule of, hey, if you do this so many years in a row, the other owners can vote whether to keep you on or to let you go. I wish there was something like that, just to give them that, hey, I've got to go, especially like baseball, where you can spend money, that there's not that cap that keeps you hindered on what you can and cannot do. I really wish there was some of that, but no, we still got plenty of Broncos stuff to talk about, just like I said, with Pat Bryant talking about what they're going to be doing here over the next month or two. And you said here coming up, we've got some camps that they're going to be doing as a team. I mean, it's nothing crazy. They're all in shorts. It's not going to be able to read too much into it one way or the other. But it's the great thing is football is all year long. It's not just during the season.
Yeah, I mean, we get 3 weeks off, 2 weeks off between the Super Bowl and the scouting combine, and that's about it. Like, the rest of it is you spend the rest of that time scouting prospects. January, you have playoffs and the All-Star, call it the scouting bowl games, and the Senior Bowl and Shrine Bowl. Then March, you start free agency. You have the scouting combine end of February and early March. So it is a year-round thing for it, and with very little downtime. And it can be, at times a little tough to figure out what to talk about when we do, in my case, I'm doing 3 shows on a normal week every day. It can be a little bit tough to talk about and be repetitive, but there's always something. There's always something that can be talked about, always a new angle, always something out there. And, we got a little bit of news today with Pat Bryant. I found that there was a couple other interesting news things today happening in the NFL overall. I don't know if you saw with the resolution passing to allow NFL players to play in the Olympic Games for flag football. That's interesting. I have an article that just came up talking about 4 potential Broncos for that. Now, part of the resolution is only 1 player per team, but 3 years out, who knows what it's going to look like. And then also there's the news that the resolution that would change playoff seeding seems like that's going to fail. That also affects the Broncos, especially this year. So there's always something to talk about, especially, even though there's nothing Broncos specific going on right now, ownership meetings are going on. There's rule changes that are looking at. They're looking at making more changes to kickoffs. So there's still plenty of stuff to talk about, and it's never really truly downtime when you're talking about football.
Yeah, and I know they're voting on the tush push again.
Yep.
As another thing, I'm one of those. Hey, if somebody found a football play, a legal football play that works, it's the league's responsibility to actually figure out on the field how to stop it, not for the league to make brand new rules and say, hey, no more can you do this, because all 31 other teams can do it.
Yep.
They can copy that. I know the Eagles have mastered it, but I really don't like when the NFL steps in, is like, oh, this is too good. As long as it's within the rules, I'm good with it. How are you on the seeding for the playoffs? Which way would you lean of what you would want them to vote?
I've gone back and forth on this because I fully understand, like, the better the record, the better you should be, but there should also be something for, winning your division. But if you're winning your division at 7-10 now, right? Because we had that one year where 7-19 won, so 7-10, say that's what it was. You shouldn't be above a team that won 12 or 13 games. That's just not right. So like the middle ground I thought of, it's actually really kind of stupid, is if you win double-digit games, then you won your division, then you can be placed ahead of somebody. Like if you go 10-7 and another team went 11-5 and you won your division, they didn't, then you can be placing them. But if they have less than double-digit wins, then no, they shouldn't be. It's a finicky thing, but I don't know. I don't think there's any pure right answer with it. But I don't think there's any wrong answer with it. It can go either way, and I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, the Broncos have been on both ends of this. The Tebow year where they were 8-8 and got a home playoff game. I mean, it led to one of the greatest Broncos games of all time, beating the Steelers the way that they did. So, I mean, I'm happy about that. But at the same time, you're right. You go 8-8 because your division is terrible and you're not great, but you're the best of the worst. It's not that you've earned a home playoff game at that point. And so there should be some rules that help to try to stop some of that. I'm definitely with you on there. Maybe, like I said, put that cutoff of, hey, you have to win at least 9 games. You're probably right. Double digit would be probably the bigger marker when you have 17 games now instead of the 16 that you had before. So I'd probably lean that way as well. I just I hated seeing last year with the NFC North, some of those teams having to get a road playoff game. I'm seeing the AFC West this year. You could have 3 playoff teams coming out of the West. It's just going to be a gauntlet that each of those teams are going to have to walk through just to get to the division. Whoever wins the division is going to definitely earn it this year. And they could kind of almost eat each other up and cost each other a couple playoff spots, where maybe the Chiefs are not the number 1 seed this year, but have to be the 3 or 4 seed just because of the division difficulty. Hopefully it's us, not the Chiefs that are in that spot. But still, like I said, I think there are those times where teams almost get rewarded for being in a bad division. The Patriots, all those years, they were really great teams, but they also benefited from having a terrible division that rarely had any other team that could compete. I'm trying to think if there was ever another great quarterback in the AFC East during Tom Brady's time. I can't really, I mean, who would it even be? I know the Jets had a couple good years there, but it wasn't
The
because of
Sanchez,
quarterback.
they had that
Yeah.
one year with the Sanchez.
Fumble. Oh man, one of the most iconic plays of all time. I would hate that is your entire career gets summed up by that one play.
Now, Ralph comes in saying it just means the NFL needs to restructure the division so one division isn't stinking up the NFL. I actually agree with this. I don't necessarily think that ends the, problems they have with the playoffs, because eventually, every team changes a year-to-year basis. But I do think that we're due for a realignment, so to speak, of the NFL divisions. Obviously, you keep some teams together, but I think that it should be something that's looked at, because you do get stuck where pretty consistently right now, anyways, you have the Steelers, the Ravens, and the Bengals, who are all three good, great teams. Right now, you have the NFC North, where you have the Vikings, the Lions, and the Packers, who are all good, great teams. And some of those can be a little bit tough to split up. And then, not to upset Scott behind the scenes, but then you have the NFC South, which it's like up for grabs for anyone almost every single season anymore, like, is the way it seems, with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers being the team at the top for now, after being dominated by the New Orleans Saints for so many years. But and then, the Falcons had their part in there as well, with Matt Ryan. But I do think that a realignment not necessarily ends it, but I think it could help.
Yeah, and would you be willing to have anybody move conferences if you did an alignment, or is it you would keep everybody same conference?
I'd keep it the same conference. Okay. Although I'd love to send the Chiefs to the NFC, just so for the rest of Mahomes' career, just so we don't have to deal with him.
That would be nice. No, I'm just thinking a little bit, like, you look at the teams that have to travel the most. Every one of them are the West Coast teams, because unfortunately some of the teams that they play in their own division are even a little bit further away. And then you got these teams like the Bengals and Baltimore and like, they're all pretty close to each other. The East Coast teams up there, the Northeast, they're all pretty close to each other. And so they get a little bit of an advantage just travel wise a lot of years, because they're not having to do all these coast to coast or even the international trips as well, making it a lot longer to go to Europe compared to an East Coast team, which could almost be more like, oh yeah, this is just us going from coast to coast with the distance it is. Yeah. But that would be the only reason I was bringing that up is, if you actually truly made it all West Coast teams being in one division together and saving a little bit more on that travel. But anymore in the NFL, I don't think they care a whole lot about the travel part of it.
Definitely not. And Jake comes in saying you can do a point system for seeding. Wins are worth 1 point, winning your division worth 3. I think that would be the best and most balanced answer, is some kind of point system. I believe similar to what hockey does. I don't follow hockey, so I don't know entirely what it is they do. But I think it's something similar to a point system, and that's how they do playoff seeding. I'm not sure though.
I don't follow hockey as much as other sports. I think you get 3 points for a win, 1 point for an overtime loss, and then obviously a loss is worth 0.
Yeah.
So you can still get a point even if you lose, but as long as it goes to overtime, kind of thing. I could be completely wrong. If we have any hockey fans, let us know, because we don't follow that as much as we could. I watch the Abs every once in a while, especially when it gets to the playoffs. I like to watch a little bit, but unfortunately there's only so many hours in the day. And my wife is like, you watch enough sports. We don't need to keep adding to our list. When we first got married, my wife did this, I think the first month or so, because we got married in September. And she had never really been around me during football season because we were long distance. And she, all of a sudden, Saturday I'm watching football, Sunday I'm watching football, Monday I'm watching football, Thursday I'm watching football. And she's like, this is not what I signed up for. Am I frozen?
No, you're good. My camera just froze.
Okay. Oh, okay. I was just making sure that I wasn't going on this long rant and nobody's hearing any of this. But yeah, all of a sudden she was just like, yeah, this is too much. You've got to make some decisions here. And I was like, well, she goes, at least eliminate one day. Choose college or NFL. And so, of course, I had to choose the NFL. Now, because I do this, I have that excuse of, hey, I've got to do this for work. So I've got to watch some college games, and she can't really argue with it as much. And so, yeah, I've gotten back where I get to watch a little bit more than I
Yeah.
did before.
And I did watch a little bit of hockey. I watched like the final like 4 minutes of the Avalanche Stars game where the Avalanche were up like 3-1 or something like that and lost 4-3. I saw that. That was my hockey for the year. So just not a hockey fan. But anyways, Kenny Kirkpatrick coming in saying Miami belongs in the South, Baltimore East, and Buffalo North. And I do gotta say, with the imbalance of travel, it would make sense to realign that way. I also think that going the north, south, east, west is dumb. I want more creativity with the divisional names. So can we, like, if we're gonna sit there and just realign the conferences, can we just have like a horse related division? The Cowboys, the Texans, the Colts, and the Broncos, just all horse related.
We could have. I'm trying to think. Well, there's only 3 New York teams, right? So you can't just have the New York teams.
We could throw Baltimore in there.
Yeah, I mean it's close enough. Might as well. And
Bird
then,
division.
yeah,
Well, I
the
think there's
bird
enough birds that you
division.
could have 2 of them, one for each. Right? I
Yeah,
think there's 8.
the cat division. So Panthers, Lions. Who else would fall into that?
The
Do
NAA
we not have
conference.
enough
There we
cats?
go. The NAA conference. I like it.
That's right. The Bronco tops them all. But no, that'd be a lot of fun, and it would make things interesting. I like that we have our rivalries that we do, but I also wouldn't mind every once in a while getting some new rivalries formed.
Yeah.
And part of that is I live in Kansas, so lots of Kansas City fans, and I wouldn't mind if they were moved, like you said, to another, even out of the conference, and then I don't have to have all these stupid arguments with people, or all of a sudden coming home and there's Chiefs gear on my front lawn, or somebody's written on my car windows, "Go Chiefs." That's always fun, and I would definitely appreciate that being gone. But yeah, Ralph coming in, pick your pony. It'd be a lot of fun. I agree with that. So, no, I'd be interested. I'm kind of surprised the NFL hasn't done a little bit more looking for some expansion.
Yeah.
I know they've talked about maybe like a European team being added, but just, I mean, they've been at these 32 teams for how many years now? I guess Houston and Carolina were the last 2 teams brought in.
Yeah, I believe so.
So, and that's been 94, 95, somewhere in there. It's been a long time, that's for sure.
What if we have like the 3 best the 3 best teams in each conference? They pick with the 3 teams they want to face. And then the last 8 teams, they just get split into 2, and those are the unwanted divisions. The undesirables and the unwanteds.
There you go. Yeah.
Browns and Raiders would lead them both.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. And so yeah, if you guys have any other names that come on into the chat, let us know for sure what is going on there. But no, it would be interesting to see the new conference. I would love to have like Arizona Cardinals, just because we're not that far from them. I wouldn't mind Dallas, because it seems like, how many years has it been since Dallas beat the Broncos? It's been a lot of years, so that would be nice to keep that record going for the Broncos. I'm trying to think who else I'd really want in our division. I don't know. I'm willing to keep the Raiders, just because it's fun to watch Raiders fans freak out every year thinking that this is the year their team has figured it out.
Yeah.
And then find out that they're still a terrible team.
So moving on, as much fun it is to talk about conferences, obviously we have to get some sign of them wanting to do that before actually doing it. But I'm a big Olympics guy, Carl, and I've talked about it before on here. I absolutely love the Olympics. When the Olympics are on, my focus completely shifts from football to the Olympics. I'm so out of the loop when the Olympics are on of anything going on in the NFL world. Absolutely love it. Big thing in my family. So I am really excited to see flag football in it. I was excited when it got announced, and I'm not sure I'm a fan of them allowing NFL players to play in it because football is very much an American sport, right? It's here, it's dominant. It is starting to spread out a little bit more, but it's still quite a ways away before we get there and everything. But with the rules that they have in play, 12-man rosters, 5-on-5, no offensive defensive line. Who is besides Patrick Surtain? Because Patrick Surtain, he's the obvious one, right? The one for one Bronco to sit there and go outside of Patrick Surtain. Who is that one Bronco that you think would be absolutely great for a flag football team in the Olympics?
I think RJ Harvey, with his quickness and just that big jump cut that he has to make people miss. When you're talking about flag football, that's the move that gets everybody. And I really do think that he would thrive in that environment. I see somebody say Bo. Yeah, with his quick passing, I think that would be a pretty good fit there for flag football as well. Get it into your playmakers' hands, let them go make the moves. But no, I do. I think Harvey would actually be a pretty good one. I think he's a better receiver than people give him credit for. I know he didn't show it a ton in college, but the little he did, it was pretty darn good. And Ralph coming in saying Marvin Mims, that's another really great name as well. I didn't even think about that one. That would be another big one. Just his ability in the open field would make things very, very interesting. I was looking at stats the other day, and Marvin Mims was the number one receiver out of the slot in yards per route run. And it wasn't even close. Like it was like 8 yards per route run from the slot for Marvin Mims. I mean, now he had that 90-yard touchdown as one of them. So that definitely helps your numbers at that point. But no, he would be a fun one. I'm trying to think defensively if there's anybody else that I'd be willing to put out there. Maybe Dre Greenlaw working the middle of the field with his coverage ability. I think he would be an interesting one. I'm guessing just because it's the way it's going to be set up, you're probably going to want a lot more corners, safeties, those kind of guys rather than linebackers. But I'm not sure. I mean, I guess you could say Barron. I think he'd be a pretty good one with his zone coverage, being able to read a quarterback where it's going. But we haven't really seen him at the NFL level either. So I'm not sure that I can really count him. We haven't seen Harvey either, but I just think Harvey's game really sets up well for flag football. Did you have any other names?
Yeah, I have an article of 4. Marvin Mims was one of the 4 I had on there, just because, in flag football, that speed can be so killer. I had Bo Nix on it because if, he's not the top quarterback, I don't think that you'd want to look at. Obviously, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, obviously those guys with what they can do obviously precedes it. But if they don't say no, I think Bo Nix isn't a bad option because he still is enough of a threat with his legs. And then the other defensive guy I had was Brandon Jones, because I had 2 offensive, 2 defense. I had Brandon Jones as another one who I think would be a good one. But Roy comes in saying it's no different than NBA players in the Olympics. It is, though. NBA is a much more worldwide sport than football is. And it has been for a while. And we see that because Team USA, the men's team in particular, not so much the women's team, they've been challenged multiple times over the recent years. It's not as much of they run it as it is with everybody else. So with other countries anymore, because there's also a lot of international players in the NBA anymore. Heck, one of the best players in the NBA right now doesn't play for Team America. He plays for Serbia, and he pushed the USA Olympic team this last game. So not very different about that. Ralph saying Bulls always hold so he can grab those flags. No offensive line, though. That's the only issue. No offensive linemen. And from what I understand, it kind of answers Phil McLaughlin's question. How do they determine how they will pick the players? Probably a committee that will be set up. It's similar to how they pick the NBA players. They do a committee and they do tryouts and stuff like that, and they go from there. So it'd probably be something similar. Scott came in and said Nick Bonito. My issue is I'm not sure they would allow Nick Bonito because of him being an edge rusher more than anything, and considering that a defensive lineman. I'm sure you could try to sneak him in there as a linebacker. Say, hey, he's a linebacker.
Pick six.
But I think that he would be a little bit limited out. And I did want to say good night to Matthew. Sorry that you're not enjoying the show. We're just trying to have a fun conversation, but we'll see you next time. Glad you joined us anyways for it. But I think that there are a lot of options you can go. And of course, it's one thing's difficult, right? It's 3 years before the next summer games. It's 3 years before we get it. We have no idea how things are going to turn out. It's just fun to look at it a little bit right now as how the roster is and who would it be. Because I think one of the best things would be is Lamar Jackson at quarterback, Justin Jefferson at wide receiver, throw in a couple other receivers there. It doesn't really matter who. Those two, Jackson and Jefferson alone. Patrick Surtain on defense. Like, there's a lot of great players here, and it would be surprising if USA didn't win gold, right? Like, just because of how much of an American sport it is.
I mean, the only pushback I'd have against that is the Olympics did have the 3-on-3 basketball tournament, and I don't think USA won that, if I remember right.
But the NBA players aren't allowed in it.
That's true. That is very true. I kind of wonder, because it's such a different game, flag football compared to NFL, and how you have to play the game, how quick things are going to be going. I think there could maybe be a little bit of an adjustment for them. I mean, it's football. Football's football.
Yeah.
So that they'd figure it out. Don't get me wrong. But I just think there could maybe be a few games that get a little bit more challenging. You're right. Probably these first 2 or 3 Olympics, NFL players are going to dominate. I don't think there's going to be as many close games in that kind of time period. But as the game becomes more global, just like the NBA, it used to be USA dominated men's and women's basketball, and it wasn't even close. I mean, I think the Dream Team won by an average of like 35, 40 points a game.
Yeah, something like that.
Throughout the entire Olympics. I mean, it was just pretty crazy talk. So it took a little bit, and once teams started catching up a little bit, like I said, they give a little bit of challenge. USA still has an advantage because we have more players, because it is still a little bit more of an American sport. But European basketball really has been taken over. Like I said, Jokic being the top basketball player for the last probably 5 to 7 years. You got Giannis as well. If it could be like a USA versus the world, I would take the world in basketball, just because there are so many good European or just world players compared to here in the United States. And I think some of the American players the best players are getting up in age. LeBron's going to be retiring soon. Kevin Durant's going to be retiring soon. Steph Curry, all those kind of guys. So, but no, in 3 years, like I said, it's a little bit tough because NFL careers are a lot shorter. You can't really be projecting out as much. And then injuries as well. There's a lot more injuries that could really derail players like Patrick Surtain. Knock on wood, everybody, that doesn't happen. And even there, a cornerback, when he's going to be, I'm trying to think, 28 at that point, 29. It's not that he's going to be completely off the cliff or anything like that, but there might be at that point a little bit of decline in his game compared to what it used to be. And especially when you're talking about flag football, where it's going to be a lot more about speed than it is anything else, maybe at that point he wouldn't be the best choice from the Broncos.
Yep. And another thing too is how many of these players will they want to risk? Obviously, flag football contact's limited, but you're still at risk of those no contact injuries. Those torn ACLs, those torn Achilles. You're still at risk of those. So how many of them will want to risk that? And then also, how many coaches are going to be willing to be like, you're a key player for us. You're the best player for us. We don't want you doing this. Because I know Justin Jefferson, he had a comment today about how winning a Olympic gold medal is a dream for him. But would the Vikings, if he's still playing at the elite level that he is, would the Vikings be wanting to let him play in that? Would they be wanting to risk injury? So that's another factor into it too. And then looking at it is, I can't think of a player that would be eligible to play in the Olympics for another country in the NFL. because the only one that comes to mind are punters, which I don't think they're doing punting. I don't think there's any special teamers, and then the Jordan Mayalta of the Eagles, who's a tackle and no offensive line. I can't think of anybody else.
Yeah, there might be some Canadian players, maybe. They have
I'm
a little
sure
bit
there
of push
is,
towards
but I just
football.
can't think of any.
Yeah, I mean, I ran into a guy that he was a football coach in Sweden, and he said it was so weird taking all these players that all they've done is play hockey,
Mhm.
and then tell them, hey, now you're going to come try football. And like it was a semi-pro league that they were trying to get more world interest in football. So he went over there to coach, and he could only have like 2 American players that he brought over with him. And he said, yeah, it was. I mean, it was pretty much just go hit people. That was pretty much how their game plan went, and so it wasn't anything special. But no, I mean, obviously you see the league trying to do the hey, you could have one extra player on your practice squad if they're a foreign-born player kind of thing, and so we'll see on that. And but anyway, I just wanted to, yeah, I appreciate you bringing up that because that's going to be interesting here in a few years to see who does make that team, and hopefully we got a Bronco being on that team, winning their first Olympic gold. I think that'd be pretty cool. As Justin Jefferson said, I mean, it's very different than anything else compared to what you can get here with the Super Bowl. But anyway, just want to say thank you all for joining us this evening. It's been a fun conversation. I know we didn't get into anything too deep by any means, but it's the off season. It's meant to be having some fun, talking how the divisions could be divided up a little bit different. Joining the horse division or whatever you want to call it, the Nay
The
division.
Nay
There we go.
division.
Nay division. So appreciate everybody joining us for all the fun. And hopefully we're going to have a lot more fun over the off season. Plenty of football to be talked about. So thank you guys for joining us here on Building the Broncos. Thank you, Eric, for joining me here. You can follow him at Erick Trickel, and you can follow me at Carl Dumler MHH on X. And make sure you guys are following all of our Facebook channels, YouTube, and everything else. And appreciate all those who came in with stars today. We got Papa Bear, we got Michael Ronquillo, Phil McLaughlin, David Cromello, Ralph coming in a couple times there for us. Thank you guys all for being a part of that. And, you know, if we know times are tough, so we don't expect everybody to be able to give or anything like that. We just appreciate you tuning in. And so if you could, this is something that could really help us out. Go to Facebook, YouTube, wherever you go, subscribe, like, and share our show. That really helps us out just to get us out there more. And it's been amazing to be part of this community. So we want more and more people to be able to join us in that. So thank you guys again for joining us this evening. And as Nick always likes to say, choose kindness and compassion. Go Broncos.